Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cliff Weitzman and I'm the CEO of Speechify. In this channel, we talk about my values about life, how to get the most out of it, business, entrepreneurship, and in this particular video, a topic that is very close to my heart, why I don't drink alcohol, why I don't smoke, or do any drugs. It's actually surprisingly important to how come my life has played out the way that it has. Everybody when they're a kid learns that drugs are bad, that alcohol is bad, and that they're not things that are positive, and that ideally you should not engage with them. And at a certain point, everybody's opinion changes, but mine didn't. I think the reason is I thought that it was actually a very logical argument that drugs and alcohol were not good. There was a lot of things that people consider not good that I do. I run on buildings and I jump between them and I do backflips. I took a job as an entrepreneur that is also very, very risky. But when it comes to drugs and alcohol, it just never has made sense to me why I should be doing these things. And so in high school, I knew that I was young and my brain was still developing. I knew that I was very ambitious about what I wanted to do with my life. And when I had the opportunity to drink or the opportunity to smoke, I just decided not to. Whenever I would do the pros cons list, it always came out negative. I obviously didn't want to be hungover the next day, but most importantly, I wanted to protect my brain because I think, and this is probably one of the most important parts, from the age of very, very young, I considered my brain to be the most important part of my body. I grew up in Israel and I'm Jewish. In Israel, the Holocaust is a very important concept. And when I was a kid, there would be grandparents or people in my school who would come into class and they would have the blue tattoo of the number on the wrist. And one line that they told me is they could take away your possessions, they could take away everything from you. But the one thing they can't take away from you is your brain, your will, and your education. And it made me really, really value my education and really value my brain, because I knew that that is something nobody can ever take away from me. And I think that alcohol and drugs can. So sometimes people say, it's important to drink because it brings you closer to your friends, it lowers your inhibitions. But I've always thought, I'd rather just lower my inhibitions to begin with in general. And so it's something that I train. I do comfort challenges. I go and I will go into Starbucks and lie down on the ground for 15, 30 seconds. I'll negotiate down a discount on my coffee. I'll go to the mall and I'll ask out someone of the other sex or the same sex. It doesn't really matter. Just for the sake of practicing putting yourself outside your comfort zone. And once you do that, in random situations that are controlled, you're good at doing it spontaneously when the time calls for it. What were the negative things that actually happened as a result of me doing this? And what were the unexpected benefits, which there are a lot of and are surprising? Number one, dating is a little bit more challenging when you refuse to drink. It's harder to go to a party and build a rapport with someone because you can't play beer pong, you can't do all these things. It's not negatively impacted me in business, for example. Sometimes people say, to close sales, you have to go drink with people. You can go to a bar with them and you can have tea. Weed was a lot harder to say no to because people would make the arguments, it's natural, it's a plant medicine, it improves your understanding of the world, it feels great. But you know what? It's also addictive. People would argue that it's not physiologically addictive, but it's definitely psychologically addictive. And I've seen huge number of my friends who I thought would have very bright futures essentially destroy their lives because it makes you lethargic. It sometimes really messes with you psychologically, especially, all people have a predisposition towards depression or anxiety, and sometimes you don't have it, but weed really, really triggers it and becomes a crutch for a lot of people. I've had conversations with billionaires who are really into smoking and drinking and who are really into, especially in Silicon Valley, psychedelics. Many of these conversations. And these are people who I genuinely admire, and yet they have a different view of life. I had a conversation with a billionaire who I really admire, who told me about the importance and for about 30 minutes tried to convince me to do DMT. DMT is a psychedelic that comes from a poisonous frog. And the argument, which is a very good argument that was made, was you could meditate for 30 years and build a very strong meditation practice, and you can get to the same point that DMT gets you to, or you can just do DMT once. And once you get to that point, using a psychedelic, you can get there more easily with meditation. And this was during a time in my life where I really tried to practice meditation on a daily basis, and I was really struggling with it. The shortcut is not worth it. The shortcut is not worth it to do steroids. The shortcut is not worth it to do Adderall. The shortcut is not worth it to do DMT. It's not worth it to do alcohol to lower your inhibition. And it's not worth it to do weed to gain happiness. You want to gain happiness? Get your life in order. Think about your psychological well-being. Figure out how to gain happiness without a shortcut. You want to build a body that you're proud of? Eat right, train, earn it. Don't use the shortcut. You want to be confident? Practice being confident. Be conscious about it. don't use the shortcut. If you want to become a really fleshed out human being, it's the journey, not the destination, that matters. Because the journey makes you who you are. And if you use the shortcut, you are robbing yourself of the process of becoming that person. And by the way, when you do become that person, that's when you reach a level of self-admiration that results in you being happy to that degree. Another great question is, Cliff, how can you have such strong feelings and opinions about these substances without having personally used them? I have many friends who use them, and I'm not stupid. When you describe to me the impact of these substances, I understand the impact and I understand the benefits. And I know how I feel and I know how other people feel. And you might argue, well, Cliff, it's because you are happy, it's because you are stable that it's easy for you to abstain. Well, there you go. If the reason you're using it is because you are unstable or unhappy or feeling stressed or feeling anxiety, don't do something that is extreme from a position of anxiety. I am a very happy person, and all of the happiest people that I know, bar none, do not drink and don't smoke. When those people have something in their life and they start to drink and they start to smoke, they go down the spiral and they stop being as happy of the people as they are. I'm an example of someone who doesn't, and I do not pressure anybody to not drink or not smoke. You do you. I'm still gonna be your friend 100%, and I do not judge. I just don't participate. I would go to parties every single Friday and Saturday night, every single Friday and Saturday night when I was in college. I just wouldn't drink and I wouldn't smoke. I would dance on the table, I would go talk to people, I would be out till like 4 in the morning. I just wouldn't drink and I wouldn't smoke. People will not stop being your friends. As long as you message them and you show them that you're interested in hanging out with them, they will not stop being your friends just because you don't smoke and don't drink. And if it's friends who do, don't want to hang out with you because you don't smoke and don't drink, they're probably not the right friends to begin with. I encourage you to just try it for a month. See how your life changes, and you'll see that it really does change. And do not feel pressured to do it just because other people do. So I invite you to try it, but most importantly, I invite you to not feel pressured to consume drugs and alcohol. So the only point of this video is to make it clear to you that it's not something you have to do. It is an option you have. You can say yes to it, you can say no to it. Both options are totally valid. So this is a really important, really sensitive topic. And again, I respect you no matter what you do, and I will be your friend no matter what you do, and I never, ever, ever judge someone for having a different view in life than me. However, it's really important to me that the viewpoint of it's okay to live through life and you're still cool, you're still awesome, you're still happy, you're still accepted without doing drugs and alcohol. It's important to me that the viewpoint is out there for you guys. And I would be remiss in sharing my life and giving advice if I didn't share this part of my habits, because it really is critical. And with that, download Speechify below, iOS app, Android app, download the Chrome extension. It'll change your life. When I do all my research about the impact of psychedelics, the impact of weed, the impact of alcohol, I use Speechify. So download it below. As always, happy listening, be a good listener, and most of all, take care of yourself. Much love.